Could the Boston Red Sox actually end up with Yandy Diaz at the trade deadline? Find out on today's Locked On Red Sox.
You are Locked On Red Sox, your daily Boston Red Sox podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Red Sox, your daily Boston Red Sox podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Gabby Maljanian, former ESPN social media associate and current host of the Boston Balling podcast as well. And I'm here to bring you the latest in all things Boston Red Sox, Monday through Friday, straight to your favorite podcast feed. And want to know the best part? It's free. So make sure you tune in because Locked On is here for you every single day. Today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Welcome to the show. Happy Wednesday. We are officially one day out of the trade deadline. So lots of rumors going around, lots of talk about the Boston Red Sox and where they stand as we get closer and closer to that 6 p.m. deadline tomorrow. And some roster moves have been made, especially at the AAA level. Richard Fitz has been optioned back down to Worcester, and the Red Sox called up Cooper Criswell to take his spot for right now on the active major league team. But that's something that's noteworthy because Fitz was called back up into the rotation when Hunter Dobbins got hurt. And now the Red Sox have sent him back down to AAA. He continues to struggle at the major league level, hasn't really been able to find his stride fully, but that could mean the Red Sox are very confident in their ability to land a starting pitcher prior to the trade deadline. So that's definitely something to be of note. Also, the Red Sox did sign some catching depth. Going to be going over that a little bit later on today's show, as well as are there concerns about Jordan Hicks? But a big name is being associated with the Boston Red Sox right now when it comes to this trade deadline. Yandy Diaz from the Rays. This is an intriguing name to me because for the longest time, the Rays didn't feel like a team that was going to sell at the trade deadline, and they are still a little bit in limbo right now as to what they really even want to do at the deadline. Currently, they are in fourth place in the AL East, and in the wild card race, they are not in the mix right now. They do linger a couple games out of the wild card, with the Yankees, Mariners, and Red Sox holding the 3 wild card spots and the Rangers being ahead of the Rays for a spot also. So they're kind of in a mode of, do we buy or do we sell at the deadline? Are we, because we have been struggling in July, a team that should be trying to build for the future, or should we bank on the fact that we could make our way into a playoff spot this season? There are lots of questions that need to be answered for the Tampa Bay Rays, but they could end up being a team that decides to sell. And in that case, the Red Sox could be a really good fit for Yandy Diaz because it's been known that the Red Sox have been looking to acquire a first baseman. That's an area of need that the Red Sox have been prioritizing at this deadline. Diaz was a 2023 All-Star. He has had an off year this season. He was hitting .204 with a .293 on base percentage, .339 slugging, and .632 OPS with 10 home runs and 41 RBIs entering yesterday. But the Red Sox might feel that a change of scenery could lead to a return to form for him because he is an elite talent despite his recent struggles. And his addition would provide the Red Sox with a reliable bat at first base. But would the Rays do it? It all would depend on what the Red Sox would be giving to them. The Red Sox have a pretty deep farm system right now, and the Rays could look to try to fleece the Red Sox of some valuable prospect capital if they say, hey, we'll give you Diaz, just give us some good prospect talent. And Craig Breslow has some big decisions to make over the next day or so, because the Red Sox really cannot afford to just stand pat at this deadline and do nothing. If they want to contend, which they should be looking to do since they are in a playoff spot right now, they are going to need to make some serious moves to improve in a few different areas. And first base is one of those areas. Diaz wouldn't necessarily be a guaranteed splash per se for the Red Sox, but it would definitely show some aggressiveness from Craig Breslow, and fans would likely welcome this type of move. And another reason why it could make sense for the Red Sox is because he is a guy who's a veteran, so he has a lot of experience, especially within the AL East, which could be really beneficial if he were to come to Boston. 33-year-old right-handed hitter with pop. And that's a big thing that's noteworthy, because a couple of the other first base options that the Red Sox were looking at were left-handed bats, whereas he's a right-handed bat, which is significant because the Red Sox have a lot of left-handed talent in their lineup right now. So adding a guy who's a righty to help balance out that lineup, I know is something that this team was interested in potentially doing if they were to acquire a first baseman. So the fact that he's a right-handed bat is definitely something to take note of. And the Red Sox need on the right side of the infield increased when Marcelo Meyer sprained his wrist and went on the IL. Diaz does fit the roster pretty perfectly right now as a clear upgrade over the Abraham Toro, Romy Gonzalez platoon at first base. Not to knock on those two players. They have been doing a good job of holding down the fort, but Abraham Toro has struggled a lot as of late compared to his first couple months with the major league team. And Romy Gonzalez now kind of has to be used as more of a platoon player to play a little bit more second base, with the fact that Marcelo Meyer is not going to be available for a bit. So especially intriguing to the Red Sox is that aspect that if they were to acquire Diaz, he could be a steady first baseman that could play the rest of the season. And he's under control beyond 2025, which is something that also intrigues the Red Sox, because Tristan Casas and his situation right now, while he rehabs from that season-ending knee surgery, his situation is unknown, and it's not guaranteed that he'll be ready to start the season in 2026. So having a guy out there who they could keep beyond this season, especially in case things take a step back with Tristan Casas and his rehab, could be really beneficial also. He's making $10 million this year, about $3.33 million in the final 2 months. Then he has a $12 million club option for 2026 and a vesting option for 2027 based on plate appearances. So that essentially becomes a cheaper deal if he plays less. With Alex Bregman not under control past this year, so not being guaranteed to come back beyond this season, the Red Sox definitely would like some right-handed certainty in next year's lineup that's projected to include, obviously barring trades, Roman Anthony, Wilyer Abreu, Jarren Duran, Masataka Yoshida, Marcelo Meyer, and potentially Tristan Casas. Obviously, they would hope to retain Alex Bregman, but there's no guarantees there. So having a right-handed bat beyond this season would be incredibly beneficial. The Red Sox, with just a day or so left until the trade deadline, also continue to focus on pitching upgrades, but this could be a move that they could make that could really benefit this team now and moving forward into next season. The thing that I really like about Diaz is he doesn't strike out a lot. He's in the 85th percentile in terms of strikeout percentage. He also doesn't walk a lot, but he makes good hard contact. He's in the 94th percentile for average exit velocity, and his chase percentage could be a little bit better. He's in the 65th percentile there, but he's not going to go out there and rack up an insane number of strikeouts, which you do see from some of the Red Sox hitters. So that's something that could also help balance out the lineup. So the question becomes, will the Rays do it? That's the biggest aspect that we're looking at here is, are the Rays committed to selling? If the Rays decide they are going to sell, Diaz would be a great fit for the Boston Red Sox for a lot of different reasons, but primarily for the fact that it would help solve a huge need at first base. So will Tampa Bay decide to sell? Time will tell in the next 24 hours or so. But coming up, concerns for Jordan Hicks after his performance on Monday night. I'm going to be talking about that next. If you're looking last minute to buy tickets to a live event, Gametime can hook you up. I know we've all been in the boat where we have friends who like to make last minute plans and they decide spontaneously, oh, let's go to this game tonight or let's go to this concert tonight. That's where Gametime can save you so much stress because it makes getting tickets faster and easier than ever. Prices actually drop as it gets closer to showtime, and you can save up to 60% off with their killer last-minute deals. Take the guesswork out of buying concert and show tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download the Gametime app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. I promise you, you will not be disappointed in Gametime. I've used it so many times. It's literally the only ticketing vendor that I personally use now for anything. So that could be you as well. So make sure that you check out Gametime the next time you want to go to any even sporting event like the next Red Sox home game. Could give you a really good deal on tickets. Are there concerns for Jordan Hicks? He got thrown into the fire under a unique circumstance for the Red Sox on Monday night when they ended up falling 5-4 against the Twins. He came in and he threw in the bottom of the ninth inning through just 0.1 innings, giving up 2 hits and 2 earned runs with 0 strikeouts and also 0 walks. Now, here's what I am going to say about Hicks. Just to begin with. Yes, that's not a good stat line. Yes, he gave up a walk-off 2-run single because the Red Sox went into the bottom of the ninth inning with a 4-3 lead in this game. And the Twins ended up winning 5-4. So Hicks came in and he was all over the place. He gave up a leadoff single and then he hit the next 2 batters with a pitch. You cannot hit 2 straight batters, but he could not find the strike zone and was all over the place. Then he recorded an out, and then he gave up the walk-off hit that scored 2 runs, and ultimately the Twins ended up winning it. And it was frustrating because this was a game that you felt like the Red Sox were going to pull off because they took a late 4-3 lead in this game, and it just felt like with the way the Red Sox have been playing in 1-run games as of late that they could take care of business here, but they were unable to. And the biggest thing about Jordan Hicks in this game, and I want to give him the benefit of the doubt for this reason, is because he threw 25 pitches in Sunday's game. That was not supposed to happen. They had Aroldis Chapman out there to face the toughest part of the Dodgers order in the 8th inning, but then he had to be pulled from the game after only facing 3 batters because he was feeling some pain, and now he's just experiencing spasms. He's going to likely be back soon, but they're just taking it day to day for now with him. So because Chapman had to exit the game earlier than anybody anticipated, then Hicks had to come in and finish the 8th inning, and he also closed out the game in the 9th. So he already had thrown 25 pitches on Sunday. Then the Red Sox had an absolute mess with their flight to Minnesota for the series against the Twins. They had to emergency land in Detroit because of bad weather coming through the area, and it was a mess, and a lot of the players just didn't really sleep at all. So Garrett Whitlock ended up being unavailable to pitch on Monday night because he was sick from the plane, supposedly. So he was unable to throw. So in a 1-run game, obviously your ideal candidates to pitch in that situation are Chapman and Whitlock, or Justin Slayton if he had been healthy, but he has been injured, so that wasn't an option. So you look at those 2 players and you say, yeah, in this situation late in the 9th inning, the go-to would be Aroldis Chapman, and likely the Red Sox would have probably won that game had Chapman been the one going in there to close it out. But none of those guys were available, so they had to go with the guy that Alex Cora then says, okay, who would be the option in this pen that could close out this game? So he went to Jordan Hicks. So already the odds were against him because of how many pitches he had thrown the night before. But also, the odds became even more against him because the game went into a 90-minute rain delay in the middle of the ninth inning. So they played the top of the ninth inning, the Red Sox hit, and then after that, the bottom of the ninth comes along, and it's 90 minutes past when the top of the inning ended. Jordan Hicks had already done his entire warm-up routine prior to the top of the inning ending. So he was ready to go right away. But then they brought the tarp on the field. They had to wait 90 minutes because it was complete downpour in Minnesota. There was no possible way that they could have resumed that game at that point. So he was sitting there waiting after he had already warmed up, which already is not a recipe for success because your arm is warm and loose and then it gets cold and tight again. So then he has to get up and warm up again prior to going out there because of the fact that he had to wait so long. So circumstantially, the odds were against him. Yes, he has to throw strikes. And yes, he has had more than one outing this season in which his command has just not been there. And that is not acceptable. That is something that he needs to figure out and he needs to be able to improve in, because if he doesn't, then that's going to be a serious problem when it comes to being able to trust him in high leverage situations down the road. And this is a pitcher that the Red Sox have talked about being a guy who they hope to make into a closer at some point. Obviously, they have Chapman right now, so they don't need him to be a closer right now at this particular time. But when they're looking ahead to the future, knowing that Chapman is older and isn't going to play baseball forever and is likely nearing the end of his career, they do have to eventually then figure out the future in that closing role, and Jordan Hicks could be the guy that the Red Sox go to in that situation. Now, my biggest thing with Jordan Hicks is that consistency is the biggest thing that he needs to look at. He has really good raw stuff. He has 5 pitches that he utilizes, a sinker that he uses the most, 55% of the time, a sweeper that he uses 25% of the time, a four-seamer that he uses just 8% of the time, a slider 6% of the time, and a splitter 5% of the time. And this is one of the biggest reasons why the Red Sox were so intrigued by him and interested in him even before he went to the San Francisco Giants in free agency. Because with the pitching approach that the Red Sox take right now and Andrew Bailey's system and process, they don't want these guys to use their fastballs as regularly. They like when they use the off-speed stuff. And for a guy like Hicks, it was an easy transition to come to the Red Sox system when it came to the arsenal aspect of it, because he already wasn't utilizing his fastball a lot of the time because he feels more confident in some of his off-speed stuff. So that is a plus. He definitely has really good raw stuff. The problem is his command isn't always there, and he doesn't generate a lot of swings and misses. He's in the 27th percentile for strikeout percentage and the 26th percentile for walk percentage. So those are both pretty poor. So he's not really a swing and miss pitcher. And he does walk a good amount of guys because, again, he has the command problems. But when it comes to other things, I mean, he is good in certain areas. Like, he generates a ton of ground balls and weak contact, and his fastball velo is in the 92nd percentile. So when guys make contact with his pitches, the good news is that he's generating a lot more soft contact, so it's hard for guys to hit home runs off of him. So that's a big thing about Jordan Hicks that is a positive to his game, is he doesn't allow the long ball a lot. And that's something that the Red Sox were really intrigued by, and something that he can continue to utilize. And his wide arsenal of pitches is definitely something that contributes to that and makes a difference when it comes to his game and his ability to record outs and get guys to make weaker contact. But again, the problem is the walk percentage in particular, and the fact that his command can go completely off the rails. Because we'll see Jordan Hicks out there in dominant fashion where he goes out there and he's basically unhittable because he has the stuff and he's on it, and it makes him a really difficult pitcher to go up against. But then we see some outings in which he's all over the place, cannot find the strike zone, and it puts the Red Sox in a position to where he likely will blow it. And that's exactly what we saw from him on Monday night. Again, hard to place the blame fully on him because of the circumstances and the weather not exactly being in the Red Sox favor. But the biggest thing for me that I noticed and that I get concerned with is him having outings like that one, because we've seen it before. And when he's all over the place, he's not really able to get himself out of it. And that's another thing that I'm looking at with him, because he looked really good against the Dodgers on Sunday. And again, the 25 pitches the day before, I'm sure, was a factor in that. But he has the command problems, and when he does, and when he's not able to identify the strike zone, he can't seem to get himself back on track, even with mound visits and taking a step back for a minute and trying to relax and say, okay, I can do this. There's pressure on me, but it's just any other game. I can go out there and get the job done. Even if he has those internal conversations with himself to try to keep him calm on the mound, it's still the same issues over and over again. So am I freaking out about Jordan Hicks at this moment in time? No. Are there concerns? Yes. Is Jordan Hicks a guy who I'd like to see stick in the Red Sox bullpen? 100%. He is a guy who can provide value. Keep Jordan Hicks around. Just try to hope that he can pick up some more consistency, because that is the biggest weakness of his game. If he can just control those command issues just a little bit more, he will be right on track to be potentially a super reliable guy for this Red Sox bullpen. And how great would that be for them to not have to worry about him being a liability? So I would like to see more of him. Hopefully the next time he pitches, he's on it, because when he's on it, he's really fun to watch. And coming up, though, the Red Sox did make a signing to a player who is going to be in AAA for right now. What does this mean for the Major League roster? That's next. It's time to fuel up and turn it up with 5-Hour Energy Transfusion. It brings the bold grape, ginger, and lime flavor of your favorite golf drink, minus the alcohol, into a quick, energizing shot. Whether you're sinking birdies or just making memories with friends, this one's a hole-in-one for your energy game. My husband can relate to this because he's a pretty avid golfer, and some days on the course for him, I know he just needs that extra boost to be able to stay energized, especially if it's super hot. It was 95 degrees here yesterday, so these energy drinks can really help keep him motivated to continue his golf round. Golf is all about good times with good people and good flavors, of course. The grape ginger lime flavor gives you the best parts of your clubhouse go-to without chasing down the beverage cart. If you go to 5hourenergy.com today, that is the number 5hourenergy.com, you can use my promo code LOCKEDONGOLF to receive 20% off your order. This offer is only valid until September 30th on one order and cannot be used with other promotions. The code is not good on subscription orders. Whether you're meeting up with friends or trying to turn 18 holes into 36, get the energizing boost you need to power through. Order transfusion-flavored 5-Hour Energy shots today, again, using code LOCKEDONGOLF to receive 20% off your order. It's honestly a lifesaver. I mean, if you are a coffee drinker, you can attest that coffee helps get you through your workday. These energy drinks can help get you through those really exhausting days in the heat when you're feeling fatigued, to make sure that you buy some. The Red Sox are running out of time to make trades. This is it. The trade deadline is tomorrow at 6 p.m. and Red Sox fans are getting a little impatient with Craig Breslow and company, trying to hold out on them and hope that they make moves, because when the Red Sox traded Rafael Devers to the San Francisco Giants, Craig Breslow was pretty adamant when he said that the Red Sox plan to add to this team at the trade deadline because they believe that they can be a contender. Right now, if the season were to end today, they are in the playoffs. So you want to add to that. You don't want to sell people and say, oh, well, we're in a wild card spot, but it's not good enough because we're not going to win the division. So therefore we should sell. No, that shouldn't be the logic. This needs to be a team that you add to, but at the same time, you don't want to throw off the chemistry that this Red Sox team has going, because these guys have established a really good clubhouse chemistry. They're playing good baseball. So you don't want to have to give up current assets that are on the major league team because you don't want to impact the chemistry too much in that regard. But as the Red Sox do look to make upgrades, they did sign Chadwick Tromp to a minor league contract. He has already reported to AAA Worcester. He was in the Worcester dugout yesterday. The Orioles had DFA'd him earlier this week, and he elected free agency 2 days after clearing waivers, as he had the right to reject an outright assignment in favor of a return to the open market. The decision has now led to a quick new agreement with the Red Sox as he joins the 5th different organization of his 13-year pro career. Now, it's a pretty small sample size with him because he has appeared in each of the last 6 major league seasons, but only in sparing fashion, with 67 games on his MLB resume. That includes 2 games with the Braves and 6 games with the Orioles in 2025, with Tromp getting 22 plate appearances and delivering a .515 OPS. He has hit .221 with a .230 on base percentage and .390 slugging percentage over 178 plate appearances in the big leagues, and a much more respectable .253 batting average, .327 on base percentage, and .416 slugging percentage in 1,414 career plate appearances in AAA. So obviously those AAA numbers are a little bit more reliable that we can read into more because he spent a lot more time there. Now, he is a catcher and he has solid glove work, which is the key to his continual employment rather than his bat. So don't expect a huge contribution from him offensively, but he does play good defense. And that's one of the reasons why the Red Sox were intrigued by him. His lack of minor league options has already led to 2 trips through DFA limbo this year. He'll now join Sebi Zavala as the Woo Sox catchers with some big league experience, providing the Red Sox with some depth behind the active rosters tandem of Carlos Narvaez and Connor Wong. So obviously he is a minor league catcher for the Red Sox right now. But could this be a situation where if he plays well, he could look to replace Connor Wong on the major league team? Because that's a big thing to look out for, I would say, is if Connor Wong continues to struggle, which he has this year, and I would say struggle is even an understatement, the Red Sox might not see him as part of the catching tandem moving forward, and they might be looking for an upgrade at that position. So maybe they took a flyer on Trump because they said, you know what, if he ends up playing well in AAA, he has some experience in the majors, we can maybe give him a shot. And then if that works out, then we have our Connor Wong replacement in the backup catcher role. So I could see the Red Sox maybe thinking that that could be the case. Like, let's see how he performs now in the minors. And then eventually, if he performs well, we could call him up and he could serve as the backup catcher option behind Narvaez. So it's definitely something to note, especially with the fact that Blake Sabol was flipped. So the Red Sox no longer have him a part of the system. So because of the fact that they are in a spot where they are trying to maximize their roster and field the best possible players that they can, Connor Wong just has not been able to get the job done really in any asset of his game. His offense especially has been very abysmal, but even behind the plate, he is not the best defensive catcher either. So that's why I was really hoping for his sake that his offense was going to be similar to what it was last year, because the first half of the season last year was very strong for Connor Wong offensively. Then he dropped down a little bit in the second half, which was tough for him. He kind of fell back into reality of putting together very mediocre numbers offensively. And his first half numbers helped fluctuate his overall stats, and his batting average looked a lot better based on the first half of the season that he had, and then he struggled in the second half. So going into this season, I wondered what version of Connor Wong are we going to get this upcoming season? And sure enough, we have gotten more of the second half Connor Wong, but even to a lot worse of a degree than that. Yes, he experienced an injury during this season. It wasn't very long, but he did miss some time. But he was hitting poorly even before he faced his injury. So it's hard to really use that as an excuse as to why he struggled as much as he has this year. So that's where this whole Chadwick Tromp situation comes into play and why it's notable. Because this could be a guy who, if he performs well at the minor league level, could get called up and the Red Sox could feel like they've improved in the backup catcher spot, because it's tough to have Wong out there when he feels like an automatic out every time. And it's unfortunate that it's that way, but it kind of is that way. And this is an experienced catcher, but also if he doesn't perform that well, he's in the minors. So it really doesn't impact the Red Sox at the major league level negatively if they keep him in AAA, because he's not really performing at a super high level. So this was a move where it feels like they took a flyer on him. They said, why not? Let's just see how this goes. We definitely are looking for some backup catching reinforcement. So if all goes well for him, we could give him a shot on the major league team and then say goodbye to Connor Wong, essentially. So we'll have to see how that all goes. But I do think him having experience could be good for the young pitchers in AAA that the Red Sox have right now. If he's catching for some of them, it could help with their development and their growth too. So that's another benefit to having a guy like Tromp in AAA right now, but we'll have to see how things go. If he performs well, Connor Wong, I'd be worried about my job if I were you. Hopefully the Red Sox maximize the next day or so before the trade deadline and we see where things go and the kinds of moves that they make. But I appreciate you tuning into Locked On Red Sox and making it your first listen of every day. Be sure to next check out Locked On MLB Game Night on Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts, where our local Locked On hosts will keep you in the loop on every single game that takes place every night for the entirety of the season. You can get local analysis on a national scale. It's nice because it keeps you in the loop on all things that have gone on and all the games from that night. So make sure you check that out next. Keep the faith, go Red Sox, and I'll catch you on the flip side.